really just wish that I had a Tesla so that I could do a Tesla FSD Beta test drive.
Ellie, wanna go for an FSD Beta test drive?
Oh, hey K10! Funny running into you here. My wishes are answered. Hey, so we're gonna go on a test drive with FSD Beta. K10, many of you know her, we all love her. She's been actually a beta test driver for what, for 2 years now?
October 2020. Mm-hmm.
October 2020, so let's go. Kristen, aka K10, has been an FSD beta tester for about 2 years now. She's had her Model 3, however, since 2019, and hers has a little nice touch. Keep the bling.
The bling. This was because I went to an event and there's a lot of black on black. It was the basic color, and then they changed the basic color to white exterior. So like I didn't want to get confused with other cars if I parked. I know it sounds silly, but I can just like glance in there. Even though my license plate, I don't know. It was a silly idea, so.
Well, I very much loved the sparkles and I can't wait to trick out my Tesla one day once I get one, but off to the Rose Garden we went. And our first obstacle was a very busy, tricky intersection on a steep hill that I don't even like to cross myself.
This is a notoriously very sharp blind area in the Portland Canyon, so we'll see how it does.
So if you didn't want to use it, would that be because you would be scared of us getting hurt, or just like having to intervene and having it piss off other drivers? What is the fear with using it?
So I kind of look at the FSD Beta as like a teenage driver, and it depends on my secure levels of how I feel like with it in areas that I'm not comfortable with. So putting myself and it into a predicament where I'm not quite certain what the surroundings are is something that I am not always doing, just because I mean that just seems like diligence on my part. It's still in beta, it's still learning, and it may make mistakes. So
right.
And this turn requires you to move really fast. So
oh yeah, I mean it's blind spot galore and people speed up and down it. It's funny, like I haven't used my bike on it, and apparently some people ride their bike on it, but it seems like
yeah, there's so many hardcore people. So it's gonna have to inch out to see because it's a blinking red. So if I'm gonna look to the right, can you see to the right?
Yeah, there's a lot of cars.
Is there cars coming right now? Okay. It's like a really, okay, left looks good, right looks good. So it probably will do it in a second here because it looks like it's clear. So here we go. Great.
Hey.
Actually, there was a great spot for it and it corrected into the right lane. Okay, that went really well. Lucky us.
Well, it passed, not once, but twice. We'll get back to my drive with K10 in a little bit, but I wanted to get more than one opinion. I met with my friend Carrie Bauer, who is also a proud FSD beta tester. So for reference, I've only actually done FSD for like a minute. So I haven't really taken like a full ride in it.
Wow, okay. And that was like FSD Beta?
That was FSD Beta, that was in Florida, and I told you there was that.
How long ago was it, by the way?
2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, so it's pretty recent. So was it, do you know what build it was?
It was not 10.69.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Okay.
But it did do the phantom swerve, which you said that's pretty rare. Like, has that even happened to you?
I don't know that I've experienced a phantom swerve. I mean, I'm pretty like attentive. And then the vast majority of the time I've had it, I lived out in the suburbs, and I think that's where it really shines.
Yeah.
It definitely still struggles with like city driving, like bus lanes and stuff like that, and knowing the bike lane and just knowing what all that means. And then I think also thinking fast enough.
Right.
So I had an issue the other day where I was driving and I was making a right turn, human crossing, and they're like waving me to go. And it's like, obviously the car has no idea, like what does this wave mean versus, you know what I mean? So little nuances like that, I think it will always struggle with. Someone
was saying on Twitter, like it not only needs eyes, it needs ears so that it can hear like a siren or something.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I think, I don't remember, is it Lucid maybe? One of the other companies is using microphones in the wheel wells to know when the pavement's wet, because it can hear like the water flicking off the wheels. So yeah, I mean, as many senses as possible.
And you've had this for how long?
I've had the car for about 2 years. FSD the whole time, got the beta in December of 21.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
All right.
So we're gonna go do a tricky intersection.
Okay,
so,
yeah, let's set sail.
So
should we say where we are? Okay, so
you can
engage.
How do we tell that we're in it?
So I'm not in right now. If I double tap down, and then you'll see that little blue thing.
So scared.
And let's see how it does. Okay.
So this intersection is
It's pretty gnarly.
It's pretty gnarly. Cars speed up and down it. But you know, that's why you're here to intervene if we need to.
Okay. See, like that wasn't me. We came to a complete stop. That seemed unnecessary. Like, I don't think a human would have done that. Okay, putting on the turn signal. I don't know if that will confuse him.
You seem cool as a cucumber. I'm over here like...
Yeah, no, you're right, because this is pretty blind.
Oh, this one is not the one I'm worried about.
Oh, okay. All right, well.
At all.
Okay, handled that just fine. Ooh, got a little scared. Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah. We may want to, like, loop back and try again, because there is a person behind us.
Okay.
And if it, like, is slow and inches out, I might just take over not to piss off that person. But we'll see.
So this is Burnside.
It's a shame there's not like a traffic light.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's got left turn signal on. Oh my gosh, I see what you mean.
Oh my
All right.
God. Oh my
So
God.
it's creeping.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, we should be good.
Oh, well, it
Go.
happens to be.
Go, go, go. All right. Kind of got an easy break, I think, right? Ooh, Porsche Taycan.
We did get an easy break.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
it did it. I mean.
It did. We survived.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Definitely seemed a little hesitant around some of those obstacles.
Yeah.
So what are you doing there? You're
I just raised the speed limit, so it's going to only go 35 because it thinks this is 35.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it probably is, but like it's one of those roads where like humans just don't really drive 35. So
you're like not worried at all right now. I'm still feeling like
no, this kind of stuff. He's known how to do this for a while. I don't really worry for these. That turn definitely you are like spot on. Like that is a bit sketchy, but this kind of stuff, yeah, pretty. These kind of mundane drives, I think it's kind of a rock star at this point. And especially now, like, it's got a lead car, like, I wouldn't worry.
Wide release is supposed to be happening this fall, so
okay.
with each new update, we're hoping that maybe we see that's going to happen, but, you know, there's hiccups.
How
software.
has this most recent update been for you?
It's been good. I mean, it's like a slow increase. Other people see some things they don't like, and we see things we do like, so we don't know exactly what the software program team is like, the FSD team is reiterating or what they're fine tuning. So there's a lot of testers. You've got Jasmine, you've got Holmars, you've got Kim Piquette, and they have routines that they are like doing a lot, and they're taking it through, you know, this stuff. But I don't do it as routinely. So
Kristen mentioned Omar, aka Holmar's catalog, and he's been making a series of videos on his Twitter and YouTube like this one. This is his Tesla full self-driving beta 10.69 2.2, and this is driving from the SpaceX rocket factory in Los Angeles to the Tesla car factory in California. Parking lot to parking lot with 0 takeovers. How often would you say you drive with it on?
Probably about 35% of the time. I like to personally drive. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the bigger cities, I mean, like when they're in the city, I think they use it a lot more. And I think that, especially with the traffic, getting off work, and that's not something that I run into that I need to use as much. So
I guess, you know, my question is, I would like to order a Tesla.
Right.
Do you think that it's worth, now it's 15 grand extra, right? Is that worth it?
I think for some people it is. I think it depends on how much you use a Tesla for a daily driver and what your budget is. 15,000 seems to be the make or break point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It seems to be the clear out price where doing a subscription plan would be the most efficient for most people, which is probably like where Tesla wants to take that. Like right now it's a very affordable subscription plan monthly, and it's probably going to slowly rise as well, but it seems to be the wisest way because you don't have to have the subscription every month. You can stop it and then you can start it later. So we're going to see, I think, Tesla, like the robotaxi as time goes on and it moves up to level 5, the robotaxi network and commercial use of FSD, I think, is what is going to be moving forward with the price.
So I did like my first FSD drive a couple days ago, and I was like kind of freaking out in that drive. So I think I'm learning to trust it a little bit more. Yes, it's not completely there yet, but there's nothing else this close.
I totally agree with you. You get a lot of people who just hear things and then say things. I mean, it's kind of like if your old grandmother or grandfather or somebody, anyone was watching nightly news and like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Like, it's not true. It's not gonna, and you're realizing they're just parroting some things that may not all be true. They haven't researched it themselves. So
I don't believe I've had every build, but a lot of them. I would estimate like maybe 70% of them or so, because people did have it before me, because there was that whole safety score thing to get in and all that, you know.
Right.
Should we roll the windows up too?
Sure.
Yeah, better for sound. So I definitely remember there being people having it before me, and I was like kind of irritated by that. But yeah, I would say I've had like maybe 70% of the builds.
I feel like the mainstream media really does mislead people who aren't, intimately aware of what Tesla's doing.
I think in general humans cling to negativity. See, like this, I will record and submit that incident. That was bad.
What are you submitting?
Just how we slowed down there, or like this, like
Right
because there's a human. Like, why are we slowing down?
Right.
So send that snapshot to Tesla. But okay, anyway, yeah, Wiser Smear campaign. I think people like tend to gravitate towards negativity. I don't know why that is. Maybe there's some human psychology pattern. This is also bad. This is where I'm going to take over because now I'm blocking this intersection. Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people tend to find negativity more interesting than positivity for some reason. And I think Tesla's like such a leader in so many categories. It's fun to be a contrarian for some people. It's fun to poke at, oh, they're not doing this. It's not that great.
Are they just not understanding the scope of this and, how many beta testers are needed and how many miles?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think anyone that is kind of like screaming negativity, I would like, question their understanding of like machine learning models and how those work. Like, are you aware of how much data you feed through and how that enhances accuracy and so forth? And then like, my biggest thing is always like, if BMW or, Mercedes or Lucid or someone else had something out that was better, I would be annoyed, or I would maybe try to get that. Like, that's the biggest thing to me, is why like I can complain about little nuances of it, but like, I don't know, there's not anything better. So like, what are we complaining about,
it would be nice to see FSD Beta released to a wider group, but I mean, Elon has stated that it's not going to go wide yet, quite, and there's reasons for that. I mean, the AI FSD Beta team, the teams themselves that are working on the software and the improvements, can only handle so much information coming in. I mean, the cars are always generating information regardless if they're on the beta program or not, but I think, they are labeling and they're rechanging things, and they've got things going on that we don't quite know about in the back room, and so we don't want to inundate them, and they know what they can handle. And plus, there's just funky things. There's people going around, what is that, like Dan O'Dodd, I think it's his name, and they're trying to push things like nobody agreed to have FSD beta testers on the road, like we didn't sign off for this kind of thing, which is absolutely silly. I mean, he's not going after Waymo. He's not going after. I mean, these vehicles are driving around with nobody in them. This man writes software that gets government contracts, and so he's just going after his competition.
Right.
But people only hear a certain thing and they think, oh gosh, that's so true. If you say something just right, you hook people.
What is your favorite thing about being a beta tester?
So for my job, I work in tech, and so I do have a decent understanding of like ML stuff, and like, so I think this is like one of the coolest, I guess, like actualizations of machine learning in your everyday life, and to be a part of that and kind of help that every time I click this little button here and it sends a little incident report to Tesla, it's just cool. And I mean, I've been a fan for so long, and it's easy to see where this is going, like in 5 years or so, and so yeah, to kind of play a part in that, it's pleasing, I guess, to say the least. Who
should buy FSD and who should not? Because it is expensive. They just hiked the price even.
Yeah, $15,000 now. It depends. Like, I was actually in one of those Twitter Spaces rooms talking about this with a handful of folks the other day. At this point, I think it's a tough sell, right? Like, I've had this car for 2 years, so I didn't pay anywhere close to $15,000 to get it. And like, to me, it's always like, how long are you going to keep the car for? If you keep the car for a decade, then yeah, it's probably worth it. How many miles do you drive a day? Like, that's also should be probably taken into account. So yeah, who shouldn't? If you're maybe disabled, or if you have a ton of driving in your daily life, I guess it could be justified. It's really tough at $15,000 though, to be honest. Like, because I really want to get the Cybertruck when that comes out, and I'll be in a weird place of like, who knows if they'll raise the price by then, A, and then B, 15,000 is a ton for an option.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even you look at like Lamborghinis and some of the most expensive cars, that's what their options are, you know, like, so to buy like a Model 3 at like 40-ish thousand, 50-ish thousand, and then have 15 on top of that, like, that's just a lot. I think it's a tough sell, but it really just depends how long you're going to keep the car. Oh, this will be interesting to see with all these people here. I bet it's going to be pretty... Well, it did pretty well. Kind of like swerved around. That was impressive.
How often do you use the FSD?
Probably daily. I don't drive every day. I definitely enjoy having it.
Has it become more cautious with pedestrians?
Yes, absolutely. It's always been precautious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like when I've driven it before, it's gone in the other lane to get around pedestrians and bikes. So I know that it has been cautious. I think it's a matter of factoring, like, maybe seeing what pedestrians are doing and moving in different areas. And now it's seeing like dogs. It's not that it wasn't seeing them before, it was seeing them and seeing them as something that's moving and it needed to be cautious of. But now it's, I think, being a lot more, I know we're in a really hilly, bumpy area. I think it's labeling things a little bit more sharply, more defined. So you're seeing a lot more of that.
How would you describe the current version of FSD that you're using?
It's the best yet. I think in previous iterations there have been like, you know, kind of like a 1 step forward and 2 steps back type scenario. This one's definitely the best. I mean, little, even like that. So stopping for that red light felt very human.
Yeah.
To me at least. And like from previous builds, it was not that good at simple things like that. Not that it would ever run it, but like
kind of jerky.
Just a little jerky, and even the turns. And
yeah, it seems like a lot of people make these videos just to make it look bad.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, on the flip side, there's definitely people that maybe make videos that sell it as, oh, it's perfect, it's here, and like, it's very, very close, but it is still not quite perfect.
Elon even said, you know, don't sign up to do this and then complain.
I think it's important to call out flaws, but it's like, this is not only a beta, this is like an early access beta that you kind of had to be approved to have. So it's like multiple layers of like, this is almost not even consumer technology at this point, you know?
Right.
So I think some people tend to forget that part.
Do you think that it has saved lives, even though it's still in
I kind of think so. I feel like it has to have.
Have you had any close calls with it?
In terms of like it saving my life,
yes.
You're asking?
It's seeing something that you were like way late to see.
Not that I can think of. Maybe a human, that's something, because it's like, you know, it's got eyes in the back of its head. It can see everything, whereas like you just see what's in front of you. Oh, this will be interesting to see how he does with this turn. He struggled with this bike lane thing in the middle in previous builds. I've not done it with this one. This is pretty good. It's a little, I mean, that's pretty good.
It felt good to me.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That felt like a human.
Yeah. See, one thing I wish you could tell it, naturally as a human, I would get in that lane just to pass him, but
right.
I don't know if it thinks that way. But yeah, that was pretty good. One thing I also wish, seeing how we can like report incidents here, I wish there was a like applause button. So like that, for example, like that exact turn I've done in previous builds, and you could tell he was scared by the bike lane and a little hesitant and jerky. That was pretty good. Like it'd be cool to like applause next, like give it a thumbs up or something.
I love that. Who knows? Maybe Elon will see this video and
yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
I feel like some people have shared stories of it saving their life. Do you feel that personally it's done that for you, or you know someone who it legitimately has?
Boy, I'm trying to think of somebody. Yeah, I mean, people, I don't know per se the person one-on-one, but I have read tweets where people are like, you know, the car stopped really fast in the middle of the night when I'm going 45. I think I just read this, and there was a homeless man in all black moving slowly across the road. I mean, that's quite a big thing. Our human eyes can't see those kind of things.
Right.
So this is like the worst turn in Portland.
Oh,
Get in the left lane, please. Please get in the left lane. Okay, it's getting in the left lane. This seriously is like one of the worst. I can't believe. Okay.
and it's sunny.
It's like this.
Ooh.
It's doing it. You can see the sun has never been a problem. I think this is the old road that's left over that it was confused by. So it's just like.
Oh my god.
It's going. It's just, this is a really, really crazy area. This is actually a great area to train it on because there's a lot of funky things going on.
Super funky. Oh,
And there's a Tesla. Another
Okay.
Tesla passing us.
Speak to each other.
Yeah, I know.
with the newest version that you're using now,
So here's our destination.
what is the biggest improvement?
I think it's reading pedestrians is definitely, not that it didn't,
Better.
but I mean, look at this. Looking at all these, if you can see the screen, there's just pedestrians everywhere. And the car is just taking note of all the pedestrians. So we're going to go to the Oregon Zoo.
So you just
And there's
surpassed
Zen Garden.
100,000 followers on Twitter?
I know, isn't that crazy?
Is it wild?
It is weird. I mean, I'm like, I'm happy about it. It's cool. And I actually have people that DM me. I'm like, it's fine. It's kind of funny. They're like, what was your plan to get to 100,000? I'm like, I didn't really have a plan. Like this wasn't, I'm like, just happened to be a place where I was at in life and I found myself here and growing. It was more organic. It wasn't intentional. Like some people set out to be influencers or, you know, to monetize it, which is fine. But that wasn't where I'm coming from. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right, that was close a little bit.
It gets close to cars, but it doesn't hit them. So it's good. Like I've never heard of the Teslas hitting the parked cars ever.
How is it at parallel parking?
It's been good at parallel parking. I haven't parallel parked with it for a long time. I actually like challenges, so I love parallel parking. Personally, I'm a weirdo, so.
Okay. What is it struggling with the most currently?
So one thing it wants to do is pass into the lanes, like figuring out exactly the perfect lane to turn into. That is one thing. We're gonna wait here. We're just gonna wait for the green because it's crazy. Trying to figure out, like it usually goes in the right lanes, but like we saw there on the markings there, it didn't quite get into that left lane like it needed. And then deciding if it's okay to actually pass vehicles. So that was an interesting thing. At other times it is okay, but sometimes it's like there wasn't really clear markings at all that it wasn't 2 lanes, but it was wide enough to be 2 lanes. So it was a bit confusing.
You're obviously like very diehard Tesla fan. You were kind of telling me what got you into it?
I think for me it's the perfect fusion of like kind of some of my lifelong interests. So like I've always been a big tech nerd ever since I was a kid. Like had a Mac desktop in my room when I was super young, and then got the first iPhone in like 7th or 8th grade whenever that came out. And it was like not just having it for a status symbol or to be cool or anything. It was like a authentic interest and fascination of like what was going on there. I mean, to just go back into the iPhone days, it's like capacitive touchscreens were not like that widespread yet when that came out. So it was like the old school technology was like the resistive touchscreen where it knows by force, like you press hard and that's how you get it to detect it. So it was like anyone that first picked up an iPod Touch or iPhone back then was like, oh my God, this is insane. I kind of had that moment, and I think it was a similar moment when Tesla came out. Like I remember in high school, the Roadster coming out and thinking like, okay, electric car, interesting. Like never really heard much about that. And then it being so expensive and it being like a supercar is like, all right, well, I can only get so excited about this. You know, I love Lamborghinis too, but it's, you know, I don't know. It's hard to even like conceptualize when I could own that kind of thing. Right. And then the Model S came and it was still very, very expensive, but it was also like, okay, this is a 4-door sedan. Like this could be your everyday car and it's electric. Like what a fascinating concept. So the Model S came, and that was really what kind of built them. And it was, what did Motor Trend say? Car of the decade or whatever. Something along those lines. And then I remember vividly in college when this car was being announced, I, you know, grabbed some of my friends and we were all watching it, and I remember thinking like, wow, yeah, this is it. Like I need that. I mean, that's, you know, not cheap, but an approachable price. The Model S had been around for several years at that point, so the electric car concept was not much of a concept that had already been proven. So yeah, that was kind of it. And funny enough, I was working for a big bank, a big old school bank at the time, and the Tesla stock was like a whole nother element, and you know, very controversial, because on paper, by the, you know, traditional finance and accounting metrics, the company never looked good, kind of valued way more than their current cash flows. But then it was this miracle story of they're still alive even though they're not profiting. There's this wacky CEO that has a ton of money that can kind of keep them afloat. Oh shit. I think it was that guy.
Yeah, so it saw that dude.
Damn, it's a shame we didn't have that, because he was like out there and it's guessing he's going to keep going, but then he didn't.
Oh.
That was kind of interesting.
We did hear from Elon that it was going to be, you know, extra safe with pedestrians.
It definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is.
So it's living up to that.
So working at a traditional bank right out of college, everyone I worked with was kind of saying like, this is a terrible stock, this isn't it. And I was just like, but you gotta like check them out. Like, it's not just a cool car. This is not like you drive a Honda and I'm saying BMWs are made. Like, this is something else. It's different, right? Like, so, and I don't know, it really felt very parallel to kind of the iPhone coming out and just seeing how like the ubiquity, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I kind of started buying a few shares over time. This would have been back 2017 timeframe. And then it kind of took off, as we all know, and then happened to find a good deal I bought this car used, actually.
So did investing in Tesla enable you to buy a Tesla?
Yeah, totally.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I would not have been able to afford this car or kind of feel financially as comfortable spending this much on a car when I did. I was 26, I believe, when I bought this. So, yeah, I don't think had I not invested in that and kind of had that work out, 100%.
It's amazing how many people are Tesla-naires.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty cool.
Nuts. I've met a lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's top performing stock of the decade. So
Yeah.
I believe, 2010 to 2020, no other stock performed better. Only assets performed better were cryptos like Bitcoin and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so I have not interacted with this. When that guy ran out, I tapped the pedal, like the accelerator pedal, just to kind of tell him to keep going. But that's all I've done in
Shopping
a while. Oh, a little swerve around the shopping cart. It would have been interesting to see how he would react if there was a car right next to me.
Yeah.
Because you saw it swerve, it saw that, but
it was like a very gentle swerve.
It was, yeah.
And it was very subtle.
Yeah. I think the funny thing is, too, it's like, especially if you're part of the FSD Beta, like, any critique you're going to have on it is like, it sounds cliche, but it's like, okay, well, which version is that? Because this is an entirely different version than it was a week ago, than it was a month ago, than it was 3 months ago.
Right,
so,
right, exactly.
That's something to keep in mind with software, I guess.
And so you were saying that around AI Day, or is it on AI Day, that they're going to release an even newer version, right?
So my understanding is, so this is roughly 100,000 people have this version, just FSD Beta in general, and you had to get approved via your safety score after 200 miles of driving, or I handled that pretty well. I didn't do anything there.
Wow. So she was way before the crosswalk.
Before the light even turned, too.
Before the light turned in the street. Good job, not
Thanks.
not killing
His name is Rocket.
Oh, nice. I was going to say, you kept referring to him as a he. What's his name?
It's ever since FSD Beta, it just feels it feels wrong to call it it. Like, I've kind of watched him grow up, you know, like from that original FSD Beta build where everything was jerky. I mean, every little thing. See, I see that and I want to race him. I love fast cars too, like separate from all the tech. Like this is the 7th car I've owned. So I've just owned a lot of cool cars, and this is definitely my favorite, but yeah.
Why do you think that they've kept it so limited?
To be honest, I think it's a mix of like, the safety score does kind of allow, see, there was a phantom brake. Report that. The safety score does allow, like, you know, kind of, I don't want to say the best of the best, but like just a nice subset of focused individuals that almost have to work to get it right. Like, it's not just handed out, and like it really has come a long way since a year ago when I first got it. So I think it was initially that they want kind of the more focused users to have it, and then B, I think that data consumption was like kind of not possible from like a hardware tech standpoint. Just like an incomprehensible amount of data, I think, that we're consuming with all those cameras and then all the labeling that takes place of what's what. I think it was just overkill to have everyone on it, and kind of would only create more problems than it would solve. A lot of like the Tesla Q community or the Tesla Bears or whatever, like I've heard some people say that they think the end result will be a lawsuit, like a class action lawsuit, so for all the people that paid for it and didn't get to experience it. And it's definitely a weird thing of like charging for a not finished product, and like I feel like we haven't really seen that before, and it's interesting to see other companies sort of imitating it, like the new iPhone that just came out, that whole SOS feature with satellites. I don't know if you saw that, where, you know, similar to like Starlink, you can have an SOS feature on your phone even when you don't have phone cell coverage. but it's not out yet. It's pending a software update that takes place in November. So, to tout this feature at an Apple keynote and not have it when it's out is like very different than how they used to conduct things. Like they were sort of more so, here's the new iPhone, also you'll have it next week. And Tesla being a bit more capitally intensive in their projects, they kind of needed to tout the future, take in investments, and then kind of work on building that. So I don't know what's right or wrong. I think a CEO's job is always to sell the future, but you got to straddle the line between Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes, or that kind of thing of selling something that does not exist at all, versus selling what you do have in the pipeline. Another interesting conversation is folks that will kind of maintain the idea that if you buy it on this car, if I buy another Tesla, I should be able to take that with me and put it on my other Tesla. I don't know. Selfishly, yes, I wish that was the case, because I would love to buy another Tesla and not have to pay $15,000. But to me, it's very similar to you buy a laptop, say you use Excel, you get Microsoft Office on there. Previously you would buy that and that's on that laptop. You don't really get to bring it, or you have X amount of licenses per that. So I kind of view it the same as that. So I don't really have the expectation that you should.
Was that, I wasn't aware of that. Is that something people want?
I feel like I've seen people complaining on the internet, yeah, but I don't know. It's probably just being cheap. But in their defense, because I think they started selling it in 2017, roughly, 17, 18. It definitely would be kind of frustrating to buy that. And then now here we are 4 or 5 years later and it's still kind of here. I mean, I don't know. I think for me, seeing the rate of improvement or just seeing improvements in general kind of keep me hopeful that this will definitely be here. It's really if BMW or whatever other company had something better that was here, I would be pretty mad. I would be pretty irritated. But they don't. So for me as a consumer, there is nothing. The only thing that is better, I don't even know. I mean, maybe Waymo with Google, but it's me as a consumer, I can't use that, and it's geofenced too, so it's not even really a fair comparison in my opinion. But yeah, either way, I can't even really experience a lot of the other kind of testing stuff. And I don't know, it's just fun to kind of have a courtside seat to that. I mean, you've seen it swerved around a shopping cart, it stopped for that biker. I've not interacted or done anything in a long time since before that corkscrew turn.
Well, I definitely trusted a lot more after this ride than my little mini experience with it in Florida. It's been doing great.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I think the Smart Summon is one of the coolest things the car can do, and I feel like no one cares about it.
It is really cool. Yeah, for sure.
Do you use it a lot? And remind people what it is.
So there's the summon where the car comes to you, and then there's the Smart Summon where it's supposed to come from the parking lot. People aren't using it as much because they kind of rescinded some of the stuff just to fine tune it, because it's the summon you can get out of your car and back it into a tight parking spot, or pull it out, right? In a tight parking garage. And so the Smart Summon people were going crazy. They're oh my gosh, my car can come from anywhere. Well, it said, don't do it in a crowded spot. Don't do it where there's people around. It was supposed to be it just kind of got out there. And people were going into Costco on a crazy rainy day and parking clear across the way where, Costco's got to be the craziest parking lot.
Yeah.
And then summoning their car and expecting it to be perfect. So I think, and then people were getting all mad. So, and there was people watching it and they're I don't know about that. So I think Tesla rescinded a little bit, but there's supposed to be a reverse summon. And I think that was something I tweeted out to Elon. I'm hey, can we send the car to go park in a certain spot and maybe even scan the cars, if cars around them are dented, choose to park in a place where it doesn't look like someone's gonna smack your car and ding the door or something.
And he answered?
Yeah, and he answered and he says it's coming. It's definitely Elon has these master plans, Master Plan 1, Master Plan Part 2.
Yeah.
But we know that he probably has other master plans, the FSD department probably has a master plan, and it's got these different things that their targets are going to hit through the years. So he can talk to it, but getting, for us understanding where exactly it is, we don't know. So it's supposed to be coming, but there's some different benchmarks they have to hit before they can probably do that. So
it's got to be harder.
Yeah.
Reverse summon has got to be a harder problem to solve. It is really sunny right now. Does it struggle with the shadows in the sun?
Not really. It's going to turn up here. Just letting everyone know it's going to turn. No, I haven't found that it really does. At one point there was a software, this was like 2 years ago, where it would, as soon as you hit light to shade, it was a little confused, but it got over that. Like, they patched it up. So here we are at a blinking four-way. And we actually have to go. It's your turn, car. Straight and then left. It's a really, really weird, yeah. It's in kind of the lane, but it's super.
Did you stop it?
Yeah, because that car wasn't supposed to go then either. But that was
So you kind of had to intervene, or did you feel like you had to intervene there?
Yeah, because that was a human error. Like, the car was going to turn left. It probably would have stopped in front of that car and got confused, but I just didn't want to. Yeah, that car was
like panic stopped.
Yeah, I would have panic stopped, and that car would be like, "What are you doing?" And then we'd have this showdown of "What are you doing now? You go." Oh. Now it's slowing really fast because that person has a cone and they're hanging outside their door.
Oh, it just stopped.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's not safe, which is good because it's a minivan, and ironically, minivans are stereotypically little kids.
Yeah.
That's the thing that scares me is you see people who just have their little kid that's under your hip.
Yes.
And they let their kids just kind of run around a parking lot. And most cars, people aren't looking for people that are about the size, barely their head over the hood. And it's really scary. So the cars do see it, but that scares me. As a human being, I'm like, please hang on to your pipsqueak's hands, please.
I just think the Tesla community is amazing.
I think they're great too. Yeah.
It seems to be growing. Mm-hmm. And, there's all sorts of different people, but they're also supportive and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think there's some great people. I think when people come together for a common goal or just something that they love has brought them together. People have all experienced driving these Teslas separate. People from whatever social media they are on. I mean, there's Facebook groups. People have just come to find that people who love Tesla really love their Tesla. They're not just going around going oh, look at that. I think a lot of them are loving it and then finding the community. And they're I agree with you on that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like it's sometimes you really want a new car and then you get it and then kind of phases out the excitement about it. But I bet you're probably still always excited to drive your car.
Yeah, I love driving. I mean, separate from the FSD Beta, which I do love, the car itself is powerful. The torque in it is amazing. There's a lot of people who have not driven the Tesla. Drive the Tesla and then go back to driving an internal combustion engine, and you will just feel, I don't know how to say it, the gutless lack of drive from a lot of those vehicles. And people are like, oh, it's because you're not driving a higher end sports car. Well, the average person isn't either.
Yeah.
We're not all driving these really high-end Maseratis or I don't know, Lamborghinis. We're driving some people are driving these refresh Tesla Plaid S's that are just as powerful, the fastest production car out there, and it's amazing. I mean, how much power does really the average human need? And the cameras, that's the safety thing. The cameras, these cars are recording anytime you want them to record. They could be on all the time and record, and people are seeing criminals all over their neighborhood, around their car, or even break in, and there's no safer
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
It's amazing.
Yes.
We saw people posing and taking pictures with my friend's Model Y.
Isn't that funny?
Why? But
I know,
why?
it's really
why the Y?
People like Teslas.
Not that cool. I mean, it's cool, but it's not the Plaid X that I was driving around.
That's
which
true.
was really cool.